So I'm putting my gloves on now, because the bees can sting through a couple of layers of fabric. Okay, so here's the beehive. All these boxes stacked up on one another. The queen is down here with her brood, and this is honey up here. Here are the bees coming and going out of the entrance. First thing I'm going to do is take the lid off the hive. We're going to take what's called the top cover off. Just prying tool. Then you're going to take this top box off that has all the honey in it. So I'm taking off the special thing here that keeps the bees from going back up into the honey. See all the bees trying to get back up to the top box. So put the top lid back on, top cover. Try not to crush too many bees. Brush them away. The lid, I should say. Probably weighs 40 pounds. Entrance is capped by wax, and there's one bee left. She needs to go back to the hive. Here's the bees made so much comb that they stuck together, and honey's coming out. So I'm taking my bee suit, my bee protection suit off. Has a zipper around the neck for this hood, and then zippers for me to get out of it. It's like a pair of coveralls. It has elastic at the wrists to keep the bees out, and elastic at the feet, ankles. You can unzip this to get out of the bee suit easier. Take this off. Getting pretty hot. You have to have two layers on. This inside layer and then this outside layer, because the bees can sting through this white suit. So this is what's called a frame, and it has all the hard work that the honey bees have done to collect nectar and create honey in these cells, these the little holes you see in the frame. That's all wax, and the white stuff is caps, a cap that the bees have put on the tops of the cells after they get filled with honey, and it's real smooth. It's like ice, so smooth and slippery. So I have to break through the caps so that we can get the honey out of inside the cells. To break through the caps is to use this roller tool. It has sharp points on it, You just roll it over the wax cap, and it pokes holes in the cap. See all the holes that I just made with this thing? And now the honey will come out after I roll this a few times. Just keep on rolling down the whole length of the frame. So now that we've opened up the wax caps, you can see the honey is all ready to come out by either gravity or by spinning it in a centrifuge, and we're going to use a centrifuge to get the honey out of the cells. So just take the frame and you put it in this contraption, put it down in here, and then I'm going to get another frame and open it up and then put it in this other chamber here, and then we'll turn this crank, and then the honey will come flying out and hit the inside of this tank and run down into the bottom. You might be able to hear the little popping sounds when the wax cap is penetrated by this roller thing. So now I'm going to put the other frame in, this other chamber, opposite the first frame that we put in. And you can see that the surfaces that we poke the holes in are facing outward, so that when we turn this crank and this machine starts spinning, the honey will come flying off horizontally and again splatter on the inside of this tank and then run down the bottom to the bottom and collect where we can drain it out. So I'm going to put these plastic covers on the top of the tank because for safety, because it might hurt a lot if you get your fingers caught in there. There we go. So then all you do is turn this crank for about a minute, and you can see the frame spinning around inside. And if you listen carefully, you'll hear this clacking or splattering noise, and that's the honey flying out of the frames, hitting the sides of the inside of the tank. So it takes about a minute for the centrifugal force to get the honey out of the cells, and then we have nice empty cells with a coating of honey, a little bit, that we can then put back in the hive, and the bees can reuse the cells. They don't have to make new cells, and they can save energy and time that way. So now we're going to, after spinning, we're going to inspect the frame to see if the honey has been taken out. And you can see, it may be hard to see on the video, but I can see all the way down to the bottom of the cells. It looks like there's still honey there, but that's just a thin coating. So now we can put this frame back in the hive, as I mentioned earlier, and the bees can just rebuild them a little bit and start filling them with honey again. Now I'm working on the other side of that. So now I'm working on the other side of that frame with the uncapping tool. And you can see up here, I have all these other frames to do the same way. So it takes a good part of a day to get through all these frames and get the honey out of them. So another way of uncapping the cells is to use a heat gun, and which I have in my hand here, electric heat gun, and you let it warm up and point it at the wax, and you can see how the wax taps this open it so that it's melting from the heat. Don't want to do too much heat because I don't want to melt the cells themselves. Just enough heat to get the cap to melt away. So this frame here is one that doesn't have a plastic foundation surface in it, so the bees make the honey or build cells between the struts of the frames, and so they end up making these really thick combs that can't be centrifuged like we've been doing earlier. So we have to do this a different way by smashing up the wax with the honey and then filtering out the honey from the wax ball. Anyway, it's very heavy. There's a lot of honey here. So now we're just smashing the wax comb and with the honey in it into a big mess, and then we're going to put it in a fabric filter, actually a paint strainer fabric, and then let gravity drain the honey out, and then you'll be left with just a wax ball. So here's the honey coming out of the centrifuge tank, just pouring up by gravity, and it goes into a two-stage filter to get rid of wax debris and other things that might be in the comb from the bees. Then it goes down into this tank here, the white bucket. And then we can drain this bucket out by this gate valve here. Just rotate the gate up. And that's pretty much it, except we'll show you also how we're going to do the smashing, comb smashing method to get the honey out of it.
This is the honey leaving the exit hole of the centrifuge.
So this is a paint strainer. You put it over a paint bucket and strain paint from one bucket to the next to get chunks out of it. But we're using it to strain or separate the honey from the wax in our smashing method. You put it on the bucket like that and make a little pouch. Combination of wax and honey, and pour it into this paint strainer. Pretty heavy.
Here's the honey draining, and you can see what we have left is a lot of wax particles. And then underneath that, it'll be hard to see, but way down in the bottom of the bucket is some beautiful dark brown honey. So here is the big ball of wax we'd mentioned earlier. So most of the honey has drained down and awaits us at the bottom of this bucket.
So we're at the culmination of the honey harvesting process. This is a plastic bucket food grade plastic with probably, I'm guessing, about 35 or 40 pounds of honey in there. You see it sloshing around. Doesn't slosh very well. And there's a what's called a gate valve, or a honey gate valve here, and it's just going to drain out by gravity when I open up the gate. Just loosen up this wing nut and open the gate, and you'll see it come out. Line the jar up properly so it doesn't just go down the sink. Isn't that beautiful? Gorgeous amber. Stop it when it gets to the top. Maybe a little bit more. And then close the gate, tighten it up, and then put a lid on it, and it's all ready.
Beautiful. Clear, too.
Gorgeous. Yes.